Hello, I'm Tom Parker and welcome to Voices from the CEPS Ideas Lab. In this episode, I spoke to Eva Maydell. Eva is a Bulgarian politician and has been a member of the European Parliament since 2014. She is a key figure in the EU's digital policy, championing technological growth and the digitisation of Europe. During our interview, we discussed Europe's role in shaping global AI standards, the balance between regulation and innovation, and how the EU can bridge the gap between emerging technologies and economic growth. I hope you enjoy the episode. Hi Eva, thank you very much for coming to speak to me.
Thanks for having me.
So Eva, what are your thoughts on the global perception of the EU's approach to tech?
Well, EU's approach to tech is an approach based on values, on trustworthiness, on accountability, on transparency. What the European Union does when it puts some sort of guardrails and boundaries to what technology can do or cannot do, what it has in mind is the protection of the citizen and securing its safety, which ultimately would lead to more trust in a given technology. I think we haven't been very good in explaining that because a lot of the narrative has been revolving around the EU just wants to find companies and it targets specific companies. I think the answer lies in the European way of life. We have developed our societies in a way that citizens feel protected. They feel that the institutions put the citizens first. While in the same time, I would like to hope that we also prioritize investment, simplification, and making sure that Europe is open for business, but in a European way.
What role does digital innovation play in boosting Europe's competitiveness and economy?
Innovation just isolated by its own wouldn't necessarily benefit European competitiveness. It's about how do you apply those innovations? How do you make sure that the newest technologies are implemented in our traditional industries, for example, where Europe's strengths lie? So I think the way we should look at innovation is how do we connect the startups, the scale-ups, invest in them, make sure they have purpose to solve complex issues and problems, and most importantly, connect them with the already existing companies, whether in manufacturing or in any other field where Europe has its strength, to multiply those strengths. I like to refer to the light bulb and electricity. And the reason why I do this is because if we do not apply AI in our traditional businesses today, we'll still be running on manpower and gas lamps, while the rest are having light bulbs and electricity and are able to have production 24/7. So we definitely need to see how to become better at that. And the reason why I say better is because only 13% of European businesses are currently applying AI in their operations. So I think there's a long way to go there and to explore how to connect those innovative ideas or emerging technologies with our stronghold, our traditional industries.
Do you think there are particular countries or other regions in the world that are doing it better when it comes to digital innovation, how they're applying it to their economy, and is it thriving somewhere else? Do you think the EU can learn from any other regions?
I would like to give an example of the past in a way, if I may. I mean, if we look a number of years back, we could see that the UK was one of the places that came up with a lot of innovative ideas. But the countries that applied those innovations, such as Germany and the United States, became industrial powerhouses. So I think it's good to take inspiration from all the innovations and breakthroughs that are happening, but it will be ultimately the test on who manages to adopt the technology. And I think Europe can lead in that domain, while at the same time, of course, advancing its innovative potential.
Do you think Europe's regulatory leadership in AI will create a global benchmark, or do you think it will sort of exacerbate geopolitical tensions when it's, competing ethically with the US, with China, etc.?
I think The answer today is very different than the answer I would have given a few months ago, where we were seeing way more willingness for democratic allies to align on AI standardization, for example, and the way we approach the risks and also opportunities of AI. Today, we see very different approaches. So to a certain extent, Europe is leading the way in making sure that we see the development of AI in a risk-based approach. So there are certain technologies that will not abide by any regulations, and there are others that are powered by AI that will need to go through certain checks and balances. And there are those that are also banned, such as social scoring. So the European way of regulating is a risk-based way, and we have seen that, yes, not all countries at the moment are willing to take that approach. But I think we need to be thinking ahead. We need to be thinking that those technologies are not necessarily trustworthy. And we need more checks and balances in order to make sure that they're trustworthy technologies for our societies, because it's only then that citizens will have the confidence to use them. And then perhaps those technologies can serve the common good.
Well, just one last question before we leave. How will the EU navigate some of the pushback against, the ethical principles of the AI regulatory system that it's putting into place when you have some other countries that are trying to stifle regulation in order to push innovation?
I think the approaches are different, and you could explain them in many different ways. But I'll take one example to explain, for example, the US approach to advancements in emerging tech, and particularly AI, compared to the European approach. In Europe right now, we would like to see more competitiveness that's powered by those new technologies. In the US, some are speaking about a race, but even more often you would hear that the talk is about winning the AI war, which basically means making sure that you make the best advancements so that you could win the defense AI war that, according to the US, is playing out there. So these are two different approaches in what you're trying to achieve. Of course, the US is also wanting to make sure that they stay competitive, but they see a bigger stake compared to the one we see in Europe at the moment. So if you're to win a war, you're willing to unleash all resources, make sure there's no regulation to get there first. I think that the way we need to see this conversation is way more complex, even for the purposes of this chat today. And it requires more details, but this is just, a brief sketch of the different approaches. And yeah, if you have a different end goal, you're going to use different means. And I don't think our end goals are aligned at the moment, to be honest.
Well, it's been absolutely fascinating talking with you, Eva. Thank you so much for your time. I know you're extremely busy, so thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Take care.